I've always been the sort of person I can talk to just about anyone. I've never been afraid to just approach people and talk to them. So after church, I approached him and I said, that was a really beautiful sermon. And that simple intro, like hello, would play out to where later on he helped me sponsor me to come to the US.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
simple.
amazing.
So then he's like, do you guys want to come? I buy you chai. So after church, he went and bought us chai.
That was affected by September 11.
Oh my God, 100%.
Why is that? Because I thought the travel was just halted for just a few days.
No, it was halted but for a few days, but the ramifications of it lasted like 6 months.
Now that's a different type of business.
Yes, it was a different type of business. And so what we would do is we figured how at the time a lot of businesses were outsourcing to India and the Philippines.
Yes.
But there was a lot of, now people are beginning to get annoyed that they have to call and their call is being answered in India. And so, and now they're like, I just need somebody in the US to answer my call.
It still happened to this day.
Yes. Well, now
and also a lot of politics, you know, when politicians are like, why are you shipping American jobs to other countries, you know? So, but I understand. I want to speak to somebody who is here where I live.
Yes, so that's what we took advantage of. I started really getting burnt out and really had a pretty bad emotional breakdown. Because I just felt like I could not catch a break. I didn't know how to say no to people back home. I felt like I have my family here, and then there's an entire family back home I can never be able to say no to. I'm feeling stressed out because I'm educating everyone. I'm feeling like they're not giving me my props. They use me, the same stuff, that we all go through. And you're becoming tired and resentful and burnt out, and you just want everybody to leave you alone. You know, when you don't feel grounded within yourself, you feel like, how can I be anybody's mother when I don't even know how to handle myself, right? To the outside world, I look pretty perfect, good family, blah, 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 whatever we think. But I'm feeling so disjointed from inside. I'm feeling so damn unhappy. A lot of the stuff that was going on inside of me, and much of it started in childhood, right? What's going on in me, it was being projected a lot on my family.
Wow.
So I would be this person who would get very, very triggered, and I'm just like constantly yelling in the house, constantly like upset, constantly, you know, Mama Kelele type woman, right? When we get so overwhelmed and we neglect our own self-care, our own needs, and we don't work on our inside. And I remember one time my kids, I don't know what I was yelling at. I was yelling at them for something. And my son, who was in middle school, is like, Mom, why are you always triggered?
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean I'm triggered? Like, what does that even mean? Then he looks at me and he says, see that? What? That is triggered. And I say, and I go off, and my daughter is like, yeah, you're always yelling, you're never happy, you're just always upset, always screaming at us. Now they've called me out, but I can't take the feedback. So I yell some more and I tell them, nobody speak to me. I'm triggered, like, don't talk to me. And then when my husband came home from the office, I think one of them, either my daughter might have said, oh, you have to be very careful around Mom. She's she's like a ticking time bomb right now. See, now I hear that.
Oh, you overheard?
I overheard, and I come down the stairs and I'm like, what did you just say?
You start yelling again.
Yeah, and my husband is like, oh dear God, right? So anyway, I just threw a major meltdown, major tantrum.
Wow.
And I accuse him of taking the kid's side over my side. And it got so bad, and we were getting ready to go on a family vacation to Spain and Italy and then Spain. And I just said to him, you know what? I actually don't even think I want to go to this vacation with you guys.
Are you serious?
And I'm not even saying it in a calm way like that. See, now me, I'm screaming and yelling and tantruming the whole 9 yards.
So you already have the attitude.
Yes, attitude. Like now it's hard to even put out that attitude because that version of myself doesn't exist anymore. But I was like angry and triggered and I'm making accusations and you all don't like me. If you don't like me, go enjoy yourselves. You'll be much better off without me. Go ahead and cancel my trip. And my husband looks at me, he's like, I am so tired of you.
Wow.
I am so over you and your bullshit. That's exactly what he said. You know what?
I don't blame him.
You know what?
Did that make you think?
Yes, you got it. And he ended up going and canceling me out of the whole trip. Right?
Okay.
So he's like, I'm just so sick. And I really don't know if I can go to spend 10 days in Europe with dealing with this. Like,
Yes.
no, you go sort yourself out. So anyways, he proceeds at my request, but I wasn't serious. But he's like, you know what? I'm done. You're out. So he canceled me out.
Wow.
When they left, they're at Dallas airport waiting for their flight. They're on the train in Italy. They're on the gondola in Venice. They're sending me all those pictures. Mi niko nyumbani. I'm in my house.
You're home alone in Virginia while your family is on vacation.
On vacation in Europe.
Because you're emotionally unstable.
Because I was that emotionally unstable. And being that, I was also very reactive. Now my brain starts going overtime. Now if my husband and my kids, they go and they meet their future mom over there, what would I be saying happened? See, now I'm like,
be like, not only are we canceling you from this trip, we are canceling you from marriage.
Yeah, now we have a new mom, right?
Yeah. Right? You're just self-sabotaging over here.
Yes.
Is it true you can see Russia?
I think you can.
Hello there. How are you?
I am good. How are you, Liz?
I am doing great. Nice to see you, Jacinta. How is Virginia?
Oh, Virginia is rainy right now. I'm still waiting for spring to arrive.
Wow.
It's nice and warm, but still the sun is not out, which is good for allergies because when it's damp, the allergies are not as bad.
Oh my God, that's what I live for, especially during spring. Every time it's springtime and I get all these allergies, when it rains, I'm like, yes, no more pollen. So that's really good. So we are going to go ahead and get started. Thank you so very much, Jacinta, for being here this morning. And what we're gonna do is jump right into it. You're going to introduce yourself to our viewers. Tell us who you are, where you came from, a little bit about your background. You are originally from Kenya, so let's start there. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? Where did you go to school? All that good stuff. So we get to know just a little bit about you.
All right, so Liz, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and honored to be here. My name is Jacinta Mutonga. As you said, I grew up in Kenya. I grew up in Kirinyaga County, Kirinyaga District. Now they're called counties. I was born there, raised there. I came to the US when I was about 20. But I grew up in a small village called Dumaita, which is, for those of you who have ever heard of Kutus, Kianyaga, is right above Kianyaga. So it's a little remote place that is facing Mount Kenya. So that's where I grew up. And I grew up on a tea farm, coffee farm, the whole 9 years. So I'm a farm girl pretty much, yes.
Awesome. So tell us where you went to school and primary school and high school?
Yeah, so I went to primary school, day school in the village, Dumaita Primary School. And then I went to high school also in Kirinyaga, high school called Griambu Girls. So I went there for 4 years. And then after that, when I graduated, I went to, I was actually going to become a school teacher. And I went to Meru Teachers College in Meru. But I think when I was in Meru, I always say God always has plans for us that we don't know about. And I think it's something I had prayed for since I was little. But it was when I was in Meru that my life shifted in a way, or there was a divine intervention in a way that ended up where I am right now in the US. Yeah.
Okay, so you just went to the teachers college just briefly. You did not finish.
I finished.
Oh, you did?
I did, and I graduated, but I never practiced being a school teacher. Yeah.
Okay, got you. So you just got the education.
Yes.
So you're done with your teachers college, and then as you said, you relocated to the USA. So let's talk about that transition. What was it like for you? where did you go, or what state did you go to, and was there any culture shock for you?
Yes, before I can even talk about how this happened, the transition, let me just actually say, talk about something that I think has been very profound about my life now that I'm an adult and I can connect the dots.
Yeah.
I grew up in a polygamous family. My father had 2 wives, 15 children. My mom was the younger wife.
Yeah.
And I'm also on my mom's side, I'm the second born. I have an older brother and I'm the second born. And so and my mom had 7 children, and I grew up with, my father always struggled with alcoholism, which is really an addiction, right? And so my mom and my stepmom were pretty much what now I call married single. That means they're married, but they are pretty much doing everything.
I understand what you mean. Yeah.
And so because they were both on survival mode, you as children, the older children tend to pick up the slack and help raise the younger children, right? So there was a lot of chaos. There in any situation where there is alcoholism, there is a lot of chaos, there is volatility, or that as a child, it really does a number on you. And I would have a lot of anxiety, like anxiety attacks. And I remember maybe 7, 8 years old, and I would go behind we lived in a mud hut, like a mud house. And I would go behind there and just kind of pray to God to somehow get me to out of Kirinyaga, and out of chaos. And I've always been I have a very big imagination. I always had a big sort of imagination, and I would project my adult life as a 7 or 8 year old. And I would see myself very far from Kirinyaga. At that point, I just thought maybe I'll be in Nairobi, right? Yes. And I would envision where I always loved fashion and beauty and makeup and all that. So I would be this 7-year-old, 8-year-old that is completely takes herself out of the chaos of Kirinyaga and projects herself, her adult self, into a place with high, tall buildings, the whole 9 yards. Because I thought that's when you escape that, you find your happiness. Yes. So I would pray, and I would pray to God. So when I went to Meru Teachers College, I was going to become a primary school teacher. I actually went to church one Sunday with a group of 3 girls, and we used to have a singing group, and we sang in church that day. And the person that was preaching, he was an American minister. Okay. And him and his wife were missionaries in Nairobi, in Kenya, in Meru. And I've always been the sort of person I can talk to just about anyone. I've never been afraid to just approach people and talk to them. So after church, I approached him and I said, that was a really beautiful sermon. And that simple intro, like hello, would play out to where later on he helped me sponsor me to come to the US.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I didn't, it wasn't about anything to do with America. It was just like, that was a beautiful sermon. And I was with 3 of my girlfriends. We were both 4 of us were going to Meru Teachers College. And so I just introduced myself and I said, I'm Jacinta. That sermon was really beautiful. Wow. These are my friends, so and so and so and so. And then he says, oh, thank you for that. I received that. So then he's like, do you guys want to come? I buy you chai at Meru County Hotel. So after church, he went and bought us chai. So that it was now that connection that eventually ended up with him. Once he got to know me a little bit, and I was always this curious, adventurous, I would pepper him with questions about the US. And then you ask me, what do you want to do when you grow up if you're not a teacher? I'm like, perhaps maybe I would start a business. I was a very curious young lady. And I still have a picture of that he took of me at their home, him and his wife's home. And I was holding a book that says how to become an entrepreneur or something. And it's something I said to him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. That's amazing story. And the moral of that story is give people genuine compliment.
Exactly. And be open to just saying that hello, because I think one of the things that I know to be true is we can pray all we want,
Yes.
but if you're not open to receive, and that is something we talk about the work I do, because a lot of women don't know how to receive. If you're not, and those blessings generally will come in the form of another human being, right? So when we are too afraid to talk to strangers, to open ourselves to connecting with people we don't know, that could be us blocking our blessings. Now that I look back, I had prayed so much for God to get me into a bigger, more expansive space than my farm, and I think that's how that blessing came to be.
Wow, that is very, very true. So talk to us about that. What was that like?
So when I got this opportunity, we were just talking, my friend and I, and he says, "How would you like to go to the US to go to college?" I'm like, "The US, like America?" He says, "Yeah, I'll help you, and perhaps now you can be able to help your family after that." So when I went back to Kirinyaga, I told my family, and my father at the time, he was actually sickly. He had liver disease from drinking. Wow. And I remember he was in the hospital when I went, and I told him that I have this opportunity. And my friend, he came with me, and my father met him, and I said, "I think I have an opportunity to go to the US," and he gave me his blessings. And that's really the last time I talked to him. And I came. Wow. I came to the US, and he passed away maybe 3 weeks after I had.
After you arrived here?
Yes.
Oh wow. Yes. So sorry about that.
Oh no, that's fine.
At least you got a chance to get his blessings.
And we had said our goodbyes. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my introduction to the US. I came. I was in Washington State. I landed in Washington State in Seattle. Okay. And my friend who had sponsored me here, he had his own family. Him and his wife, they lived in Kenya, but he had adult children. And so I ended up staying with one of his sons and his wife and their 2 children. And I lived with them for quite a bit of time. I want to say maybe 5 or 6 months, or maybe up to a year. I don't recall, but I lived with them and went to community college in a place called Tri-Cities, Washington, just about 3.5 hours from Seattle. So the transition was, in a way, it was easier than most people, because I already had a family setting to settle into. But as a young person, you coming to the US, you're not really familiar with a lot of the foods, the weather. It's a culture shock. I bonded instantly with their infant baby and their 2.5-year-old little boy. And so in that, having that warmth and that family setting, it was good. But getting used to the food, getting used to the weather, getting used to the American life and its hardships as well. But I would say I can't really complain about it. I didn't struggle as much as a lot of people do. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Awesome. So that's Seattle. So you did you do the whole 2-year community college?
So yes, I did. I went to community college in Tri-Cities, Washington. And I was also working on campus. And I think at the time with the F1 visa, you could also I was able to get a work permit that allowed me to work 20 hours.
Okay, awesome.
Yes, so I was working and supporting myself. I did pay for my own college, because that's one of the promises I had made to my friend. And he says, "I'll help you with the airline ticket and all that. Once you get to the US, then I'm sure you'll figure out." Yeah. And I was like, "Yes, you don't even have to ask me twice. I'll sort myself out." Yes.
Awesome. So you are working in the community college, whatever hours that you're supposed to work as a student. You get your associate degree. Where do you go from there?
So when I got my associate degree, then I ended up transferring to Portland State University in Portland, Oregon.
In Oregon?
Yeah, in Oregon. Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I got an apartment and a roommate, and a Ukrainian roommate, and we got an apartment, and I was also working on campus, and I got also a work permit that allowed me, and I believe at the time you didn't need a work permit to work on campus, but you needed a work permit to work off campus.
Okay.
And so I had a job, continued working at the mall, but as God would have it for me, I applied for the green card and I won.
Oh, well, you are in Oregon.
In Oregon.
In school. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are able to change status. Okay. So you get your green card. You're still in college doing your undergrad
business degree. Okay. And I had a good circle of friends. And one of those was I always had a lot of male and female friends. I've always been able to really relate well with guys. And one of my guy friends was, it happens to now be my brother-in-law.
Okay.
Now fast forward 28 years later, 29, 30, or whatever, how many years it's been. And so one of my guy friends tells me, by the way, my brother is coming into town. And if you're free on Saturday, let's all get together and have lunch. And I said, why don't I just fix us some lunch? And then you guys come, and a girlfriend of mine and the guy, my friend and his brother came, and it was a Saturday. Okay. So that is another divine intervention right there. One of those things you're just called to do something. And that's actually the day that I ended up meeting the person who is now my husband, right? That's the brother of my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so, you're married to Mike's brother?
Yes.
Okay. I knew you were related. I just didn't know how.
Yes. Okay. But one of their brothers has been a friend of mine since we were in college, right? I would meet my husband and Mike and them later. So yeah, so that's how I was in Portland at the time. My husband and Mike, they actually lived in Alaska. So he had just come from Alaska to visit his brother. And we have lunch together, and that was really how I met him. So once we started dating, and as the relationship continued to grow, he obviously I wasn't gonna move to Alaska, because I used to go visit him in Alaska, and it's super cold. It's like minus 45 degrees. Yes. And I was like, I don't know if I can live here.
Is it true you can see Russia?
I think you can. Yeah, actually, Alaska is one of the most interesting places. It is one of the most unique places I've been to. And I've traveled the world. There is nothing I've experienced that is as memorable as Alaska. Because I would, school was closed, like December holiday, winter break. My husband would buy me a ticket. Oh no, he was my boyfriend, and I fly to Alaska. In December is 23 hours of darkness.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that the minute you brought in Alaska, because is it true they have short days
and very long days? Summertime it is 20. There's I think June 21st or so. It's usually 24 hours of daylight. Yeah. So that's why I'm saying, it's like the most intriguing place I've been to.
Wow. Yeah. I have to visit Alaska.
Yes. So it was the first time I went to visit him, because we met in the summer in June, and December I went to visit him. Imagine a place where it's dark the whole 24 hours. Or you get 1 hour.
That is depressing. No, I don't like that.
They have so much. They have a lot of suicides there and a lot of alcoholism, right?
That's depressing right there.
Yes. And it's minus 45 degrees. It is or minus 50. The whole place is snow. We would go ice fishing. That's what I'm saying. It's like,
ice fishing.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's the most unique experience.
It's a good experience, though. I would only do it for 2 weeks when it's winter, but when they have no dark time, no, like they have long days, then that I would love.
Yeah, when they don't have, like in this, my husband would get up and go to bed to work, and because I'm disoriented because it's dark outside, I don't know it's daytime, so he would be coming home at 5:30 p.m. I'm still in bed because I'm like thinking the sun is just rising, but it's actually setting. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
Wow, that's so different.
Super different. So we would eat moose meat, deer meat. I go out ice fishing where the whole lake is frozen, and they set up this hut like a cabins on top of the frozen lake. You go in there, you drill like through the ice all the way down there. There is water that you finally see, and then that's how you fish. Can you imagine me, fashionista Jacinta, ice fishing?
What I want to know is, how does a moose taste? That's what I want to know.
So the moose is lean. I don't know if you've ever had venison, which is deer meat. It tastes like beef, but it's not gamey.
No, but I've had buffalo meat.
Yes. Have you ever, and I love buffalo meat. I've always been into wild meat because they are leaner than the beef or lamb that you buy in the store. So I got introduced to game meat in Alaska with deer, because Alaskans go and hunt deer, and they freeze it. So my husband's freezer, and my husband and Mike live together. Their freezer was full of deer meat, moose meat. They have ground moose, ground deer, steak, the whole 9 yards. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And it's so lean. And to this day, if I was given a choice to eat buffalo, deer, deer is venison. Buffalo is what do they call buffalo? I like it a lot. It's they have a name for it. I forget. So buffalo, deer, moose, I would take that any day because it's so lean, because those animals are walking the whole time.
I don't know. I found buffalo meat to be just like beef.
It's like beef, only leaner. It doesn't have fat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how the whole thing is. I'm just like, okay, it's buffalo meat. It's time to try. And I had it, never had it again. Not that I didn't like it. I just don't care. Plus, they don't have them here. So
you can get it at a farmer's market here, at least.
Farmer's market?
So here in Virginia, they have,
yeah,
my town village, my town's market, farmers market. They have farmers that come from different places. They have those kienyeji eggs, kienyeji beef and all that, like grass-fed. They also have buffalo meat. So whenever I go to the farmers market, I buy that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that's interesting story there about Alaska. So fast forward, you're done with school. Where do you go from there?
Okay, so now as my relationship began to get more serious, so I told my husband, listen, I like Alaska. It's a fun experience, but I can't see myself living in such conditions. So he started looking for a job in the mainland, and he ended up getting a job in Washington State, a place called Bellingham, Washington, but there's a university there called Western Washington University. So when he got the job, I transferred from Portland State to Western Washington University. And, and so he moved and I moved. So we started living together in Bellingham, and I finished my degree there. And he was working for the local newspaper there as their assistant controller. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So you graduate in Washington. So where do you go from there?
So once I graduated from Bellingham, from Western Washington University, now the company that my husband worked for, that ran like newspapers all over, it's still a big company. It's called Gannett, and they had newspapers all over the United States. So he had been transferred from Bellingham back to Oregon.
Oh, back to Oregon?
He got transferred to the newspaper in Oregon, in Salem, Oregon. So we moved from now Washington back to Oregon, and not Portland, but Salem. And that's where we got married in the year 2000 here.
Wow. Okay. So from Oregon to Washington, then again from Washington back to
Oregon.
Portland, I guess. Salem is the name of the city, yeah?
To Salem. Salem is the capital of Oregon, and that's
Okay.
where the local newspaper is. And also he enrolled to do his MBA in the private university there. So
Okay.
yeah, we stayed there. My son was born there, and then when at the time when I got pregnant, by the time I got actually I'll backtrack a little bit. When we were still in Bellingham, we started our first business together. But I was running the business, and he was working at the newspaper, because obviously we needed to pay rent, right? And business, you have to grow it.
What type of business was it?
Travel. We traveled. We started travel, international tickets only.
Okay.
So when he was doing his MBA, he was also working full time, and I had graduated, and I was now doing the travel business, and it was picking up. It was growing. But when I got pregnant with my son, who is now 23, we had to figure out how to do the business full time, because I had grown it by myself to where it was getting to that point where it can sustain us. So he quit his newspaper job, and he started working full time on the business. We worked together, but I had to take a little bit of a break when I had my baby. And yeah, so we've been business partners since before we got married. But we grew our travel business, and he quit his job, and it became our sole source of income until when September 11th happened. We were in the travel business. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I had just given birth. My son was born in January 2001. September 11th happened in September. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, when was your son born?
January.
That the following January after September.
That January.
Okay.
That January of 2001, January 21st, my son was born. And at the time we were in the travel business, we were doing that full time, and it was paying the bills. It was supporting us. We have now a new baby. So the three of us were lived on the income we were making in our travel business. But then come September, my son was about 8 months. September 11 happened, and the travel business came crashing.
That was affected by September 11.
Oh my God, 100%.
Why is that? Because I thought the travel was just halted for just a few days.
No, it was halted but for a few days, but the ramifications of it lasted like 6 months. Okay. So let me tell you, for those of us who are in the travel business, this is how it affected us. So what happened is, I remember I was giving my son a bath, and we were 3 hours behind the East Coast. Yes. So when this whole thing happened of September 11, it was like 5 a.m. in the West Coast. Yeah. We had no idea. Yeah. The world has fallen apart. So my husband comes into the bathroom, and I'm giving my son a bath, and he says, "Oh my God, some planes hit New York." I'm like, so I get my son out of the tub, and I wrap him up, and then we turn on the TV, and we're like, "Oh my God, what in God's name is happening?" Right? Yeah. So yes, flights were canceled, and they were canceled for a number of days, not like for a very long time. But what happened is the airline industry was
hit.
Affected. People were afraid of flying. People canceled flights. Yeah. People are like in the aftermath, I want to say 3-4 months immediately, nobody was buying tickets. More importantly, or more a bigger effect that it had on us is for everybody who had booked their flights before, they were now canceling, and the airlines, remember, they were giving people full refunds, right? Yeah. It's a global event that happened. Yeah. So for us who are in the travel business, if a client came and canceled their flight, and their airline, let's say Delta Airlines, has promised them a full refund, full refund means a full refund. That means even the commission that the travel agent was paid, they have to return to the airline.
Yeah, I got you.
They call them commission recalls. And I remember, I think in the first month, I think my husband and I had over $50,000 worth of commission recalls we had to send back to the airlines.
Wow, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, it had a big effect.
Now I understand. So
Mhm.
everything just snowballed like, oh wow, see, we knew there was this halt of airlines, but if you didn't know anybody like you who is doing travel, you didn't realize that it affected people that much.
Financially, business-wise, if you're in the travel industry, whether you are a hotel, you are a travel agent, you are
Okay.
airline, you got affected tremendously
Wow.
financially. Yeah.
Okay. So now do you close that business now? Or do you try to just hold on and keep pushing?
So we continue to push, we continue to wait. And I think for us, we've always known with business
Yeah.
is, it takes a lot of tenacity. It takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ups and downs. The
Yeah.
worst thing you can do in a business downturn is give up or decide I'm gonna quit this and go start something else, because in that something else you're gonna have to weather through adversity, right? So it was just the two of us. We had just bought our first house. We had a baby, and we were like, okay, time to tighten the belts. As long as we have savings to help us get through this time. We just didn't have any luxuries
Yeah.
that we were doing. We just was like, we have to weather through this. So we weathered through that. And then eventually, when the travel came back, as these things tend to happen, and we saw this with COVID as well, when things
Yeah.
now come back, they just come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
come back with full effect. So
Yeah.
once we were able to weather September 11th through maybe 2001 to 2002, like, so September 11, 2001 to about January, February of 2002, that was it was a really rough time for business.
Wow.
But for us, it was like, we will weather through this. And I happen to be married to someone who is one of those people who just sees potential in everything, right? So he's like, we're gonna get through this. Don't worry about it. We got it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So passing cloud, that too shall pass, and you hold on.
Yes.
Okay, so what happens? So you go through that phase, you continue to build the business, and so did you stay in the business as an entrepreneur, or did you ever go out there and got a job, or it was all business, hands-on, both you and your husband?
It was business hands-on. It's actually,
Okay.
quite honestly, when I graduated from college, I never really went and found a job.
Mm.
I just
Wow.
continued the business. Now I'm in it full time.
Okay.
And then now when our situation changed and we are becoming parents, obviously I'm on I had a C-section. So it's,
Okay.
I'm not going to be able to do it full time. And we have customers relying on us. So my husband quit his job and poured himself into the business full time. And I was maybe 50% back in the business at the time. And our business grew like really super fast after
Okay,
that.
I have a question for you, because somebody might be watching this and saying, how do you start a business, a travel business or any other business, especially in America? When you did your undergrad, and I don't know, I probably even your associate degree, you said you're doing business? Was it business?
Yeah, I was doing finance, yeah.
You're doing finance. Would you say that helped you learn the business, or those two had nothing to do with each other?
They had nothing to do with each other. Actually, I had thought I'm gonna go get my degree in finance, maybe do a master's and work in the banking industry or whatever.
Yeah.
But when my husband and I moved in together, and he was working, he's a CPA, right? He was an accountant, and then he had moved into finance as an assistant controller. He just always thought he's never going to be employed for a really long time.
Okay.
So we're sitting there watching TV, and there was an ad that came on, and it was at Seattle by the Space Needle, one of those events that are for entrepreneurs, right? Entrepreneurs Expo. It was called Seattle Entrepreneurs Expo. And we decided, let's drive from Bellingham to Seattle. It's about an hour and a half. So we drove to the conference. To the expo, and there's different kind of vendors that are trying to, some are insurance, some are travel, some are, So one of them was a travel company. I remember that man, and this man from Las Vegas. He had a company called Team Travel. And what they do is they would have all these travel agents wannabes.
Yeah.
They don't have the capital to go get their own reservation system, because it's expensive to get even into the IATA, into the industry. So he handed this company, and he would allow you to come in as an independent contractor. You get your own clients, you get access to his Sabre system. Yes.
So is it like a franchise?
It wasn't a franchise. You are an independent contractor. So he had figured it's very expensive to get into IATA certificate. To get into the IATA is what you have to be IATA certified to become a travel agent. You have to invest in Sabre system, Amadeus, Apollo, whatever, the different systems, right? That's expensive. So if you want, let's say for us, we were Kenyan immigrants. We knew all these Kenyans that travel, right? Yeah. So since we couldn't afford our own system, we just we paid. You pay. You
up to his.
Yeah. So he charged a fee. It was $6,000. And
for what? One time or annually? One time, $6,000.
$6,000 to have access to their system, but then also for every booking that you do, they keep 3% of your commission.
Okay. Yes. Got you.
So since we didn't have any money, and remember me, I had won a green card, so I was able to apply for a student loan.
Okay.
So when they give you money for student loan, they always give you more than you need, because they figure you need money for living on and all that. So it was money from my student loans that we pulled together, and we paid
for that
travel, and we were able to get access to their system. And now we started marketing. We started looking for clients.
Okay, but you have your own. You have your own name, like you said, you're independent. You're
independent. So we just started our own company. We registered it.
Amazing.
Acme Travel. That was it. Our business was born. Yeah, and since my husband was in the newspaper industry, remember, he taught me how we can do ads. Do classified ads, because he was in finance for a newspaper. And then the newspaper itself, they flew their employees a lot. So he says, you can call my publisher and see if they allow you to book travel for the employees when they fly to corporate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I just called the publisher, his boss. One day I just called and I said, my name is Jacinta. My boyfriend works there. He's your assistant controller, and I run a travel business. Would you be okay if I started booking your travel for your organization? And he said yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Because I was going to ask you, wouldn't that be like, okay, this other person works here, but it's not the same business, so there's no conflict there.
No, although my husband co-owned the business with me, I didn't say there was no conflict. Two different industries, right?
Yeah,
I called Bob. Bob was his name.
Wow.
And he says, "Oh, sure." And I had met him at a company party.
Yeah.
So I said, and I met you because my boyfriend works there, but I'm calling you because I'm in the travel business, and I would be honored if you can allow me to book travel, make travel arrangements for your organization. He's like, "Oh, sure." Yes.
Wow.
So then
they became your clients.
Yes. So now I got my first clients that way. And then we started advertising a lot within the Kenyan community. I think there was a website called Kenyan Yetu. We started placing ads in different places. We started running ads like on USA Today, because I remember he was working in the newspaper industry, so he knew about
but I have a question for you, Jacinta. I know from what you're saying within the Kenyan community, and people travel, home, vacation, whatever. When you put an ad on USA Today, so you're not just targeting the Kenyan community, because you're just a travel agent for everybody.
Everybody.
Okay, got you.
Yes. And we didn't really say, when we were driving home from the business expo, we were like, but think about how many Kenyans are here and they need to go. So we started, they need to go home. So we started with the idea that we are going to be selling to Kenyans. But obviously the Kenyan community that we knew in the Seattle area is not big enough. You have to expand beyond that.
Yes.
So we started putting ads in the local newspapers. I remember when we started running ads on USA Today, on LA Times, all these classified ads, we started getting clients from everywhere. And we didn't do domestic travel because domestic travel wasn't paying much, but international travel, the commissions were pretty good at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how did that go? How did you make the shift? Or is that business still running? I know we're gonna talk about your other business because you're a coach. So how did that travel business go? Did you move? Because you also moved. You're no longer in Oregon. You are in
that's much later. So we continued to grow the business, and it grew. And then we found out about what is called, and I don't know if they still do this because we are no longer in the travel business, what's called consolidated tickets. This is where actually we started making enough money for us to get out of team travel and be on our own.
So build something similar to his?
Yes, we had enough money, and so that saves us the percentage that we were paying. We are now fully us, and we just immersed ourselves into doing consolidated tickets where you buy they're bulk tickets, and they are heavily discounted from what the airlines were selling them to the public. And then the consolidated tickets, you'd get a block of tickets that are much cheaper, and then you add your markup and resell to your clients. So we made a ton of money with the consolidated tickets.
So when you do that, do you just buy a bunch of tickets, like let's say to whatever destination, let's say Kenya?
Yeah,
you
so
go to KLM, or you go buy a whole bunch of tickets cheaper than I would get them from KLM?
Yes. So at the time, remember this was before website like e-commerce was a thing, and they were doing. Now I know the airlines changed all that business model because they can be able to sell on their own websites, right?
Okay.
So at the time, because they needed agents to be able to make these tickets for them, and especially international tickets, they would have this. They were called consolidated tickets or bulk tickets. So a good chunk of the aircraft would be sold on those consolidated tickets. And so the agents get them for a cheaper price. Then you can do your markup, but it's still cheaper than the retail price that the airline is
because I do remember, I'm not sure whether it's similar, early 2000, every time I traveled, I would go to websites like Travelocity,
all those came up.
Yes.
All those came up when Georgia, my husband and I were doing the travel.
Okay, yes, because I do remember if I went to the airline directly, it was expensive. But if I went to this other website, it was cheaper.
Yeah, those are
called it was the same flight.
Yeah, they're called bulk fares. So that's actually how we were able to really maximize on that and take advantage of that, because we can come to the Kenya community. We even started advertising on East African Standard, Nation. And at that point in the 2000s, we were at one point, we were probably the largest seller of consolidated tickets to Kenya. And we were bringing in millions of dollars in sales. Yeah.
Were you doing just one way outside from US to whatever destination, or both ways, from Kenya to here, or even to other countries?
So the bulk tickets were from the US.
Okay.
But remember, we are not just doing Kenya, we are doing Ghana.
Other countries, yes.
Other countries, we are doing Europe. Yes. So Europe and Africa was our biggest market.
Okay, got you.
And we were able to really sell, to really make a fantastic living and grow our business doing that. And we hired a team, we had employees. It just became a real, like a business, right? Until fast forward maybe 10 years later, the industry started shifting. The airlines were like, why keep paying agents? Because we are making money from it. And then airlines figured we can create our own websites and sell the tickets, the bulk tickets, with a very small markup on our website. So for travel agents, it started feeling like they're undercutting the agents.
Yes.
Because you're in competition. Before they were your partners and allies.
Yes. But now you're
now they are your competitors.
Yes.
Right. So it started feeling like this is an industry we need to figure out an exit strategy, because the way it's going, and the commissions were reduced as well. When we entered the industry, commissions for published fare, not the bulk fares, was 10%. By the time we are in it 10 years, the commissions have been reduced to 3%. So we saw the writing on the wall.
Yes.
So we are like, we have to be adaptive. We have to be dynamic. You have to understand what's going on in the industry and make plans accordingly. So it was, so we started figuring out what other industry can we get into.
Yeah.
And so while we were still in the travel business, we started our second business, which was outsourcing. It was like what we call outsourced call centers.
So call centers now, that's a different type of business.
Yes, it was a different type of business. Awesome. And so what we would do is we figured how, at the time, a lot of businesses were outsourcing to India and the Philippines. Yes. But there was a lot of, now people are beginning to get annoyed that they have to call and their call is being answered in India. Yeah. And so, and now they're like, I just need somebody in the US to answer my call.
It still happened to this day.
Yes. Well, now
and also a lot of politics, you know, when politicians are like, why are you shipping American job to other countries, you know? So, but I understand. I want to speak to somebody who is here where I live.
Yes. So that's what we took advantage of. So we are like, let's try to understand what this outsourcing is, what kind of systems you need, and how to get businesses to outsource their front end to us.
You guys are strategizing this as you look for a way to exit the travel business. So you are starting this other business while you still have the travel. But since you've seen the writing on the wall, you are creating your plan B or your backup plan.
Yes, because we were like, what is travel industry going to look like 5 years from now? We don't know, because it's you are at the mercy of the airlines, right?
Yes.
So and you don't have control over that. They're your supplier. So we decided, let's now figure out another business we can venture into, just in case this travel things comes crashing, which we knew it was the way the relationships were changing, the way the airline is dispensing their inventory was very different. So we start an outsourced call center. We go and buy servers, and we house them at a data center. Wow. We figure out the systems that how to do outsourcing, and then we go about marketing. So we approach businesses, let's say businesses in the US and Canada, and there were different industries, like in the medical field.
Yes.
And so we would approach doctors' offices, and we say, we have a solution for you. So instead of you hiring somebody to sit there and answer the phone and schedule your appointments, we can take over, have access to your systems, and we will get into your system, your scheduling system, schedule your appointment, take your prescription calls, whatever, and we'll charge you a fraction of that. Remember, you're sharing our employees with other businesses. And they found a lot of value in that.
So if a business, if they had somebody sitting there, maybe one or two people at their front desk answering calls, that's an employee. How do they save money if they hire you as a company?
Because first of all, when you hire an employee, you have to pay them, let's say, even if you're paying them $2,000-3,000 a month, you have to pay the unemployment, insurance, all those other costs that come with having an employee.
Yes.
And it's not like they're scheduling appointments for you every minute. They're just sitting there answering calls. So we come and say, we will charge you $399 a month.
Okay.
We will answer your call, and every client had their own number assigned, right? They're called DIDs. So you go buy you get a whole number from the phone company. You get a whole list of phone numbers. So every client gets their own number. So if let's say you are Dr. Lizzie, internal medicine, right? Dr. Lizzie, internal medicine, gets her own number.
Okay.
And so when your clients are calling your office in New Jersey, the call automatically forwards to that DID we have assigned you, and it links to our call center.
Yes.
And so when our employee is answering, because it's all coded, it's already programmed, Dr. Lizzie's office. So my employee will answer, Dr. Lizzie's of internal medicine, how can I help you?
Yes.
Or I would like to schedule my physical. I need a prescription refill, whatever it is, or I need to leave a message to the doctor. We just, now we can remotely log into your scheduling system, right?
Yes.
And we can schedule the appointment. If it's a physical, if it's a follow-up, whatever, you just train us on what we need to do. Yes. And then we schedule if it's just somebody leaving a message for a prescription, we take the message and email it to the doctor.
Okay.
See, the doctor just saved themselves over $2,000 a month.
But what about you? On the other hand, the doctor has saved about $2,000 or a little over $2,000 a month, and you are coming, you have to say, hey, we can charge you $400 or $500 a month. How are you scaling? I mean, like, how is your business surviving? Is it because you have many companies you're working with? Because you're charging way less.
Way less, but we also have Dr. Lizzie, we have Dr. Solomon, we have Dr. Paul, we have, so the call can come for Dr. Lizzie, the next call that comes is for Dr. Solomon, right?
Oh, got you.
We have a bunch of clients.
You have the numbers, okay.
We have the numbers, so it's a numbers game. So if I have 100 businesses I'm doing their front end for,
I get you.
They see the value, and we also see the business sense in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I get that. So at what point now do you transition? Did you end up transitioning fully from travel business to the call center?
No, we continue to run the travel business. Remember, the travel business has its own employees, its own running operation. And then now we have the call center. The only thing is we did is move the travel business into the system, into the phone system for the call center. Remember the calls that were coming for Airfare Planet, which was our business, they're ringing into the call center. But
okay, got it.
They're being answered by the employees of the travel business, but we have consolidated the system.
I got you. I understand. Yeah. So how did that continue to grow?
So at the time, now we have grown the call center business. We have a bunch of clients, and that was the travel. We started the travel business. I want to say 1998. That's when we started.
Oh, the travel business. Okay.
Yeah, remember I was a college student when we started this.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've run that for 10 years plus. We need to diversify now. We started the travel, the call center business around 2008, 2009. Okay. So by the time we moved to Virginia, now to the DC area, into 2010, because our kids at that point, they are in elementary school, we are beginning to feel like they need more diversity, and also we need to be closer to the extended family. So we decided, since we could work from anywhere, we decided to locate from Portland and move to Virginia. And we continued the system, the servers,
the same thing, nothing changed.
The employees stayed there, nothing changed because it's remote, right?
Yeah.
So about 2012, 2013, we were already in Virginia. And remember, I feel like personally, I can't speak for my husband, I had been working continuously for all this time. We started our business when I was in college, moved full-time into running a business, had 2 kids in the process. When I had my C-sections, because I was also in that mindset of business, career woman who can do it all, I had C-sections, and within like 3 or 4 weeks, I'm back to work, right? Wow. So I started getting true burnout. Yeah. So yes, we are making money, we are successful, but I am so burnt out.
You're burnt out.
I have started now hating the job, the business. I just want to rest. And I told my husband, I'm not enjoying doing this anymore.
And that's both of them, the travel and the call center?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we were running both. And the call center now had become the forefront of what we were doing, because it was the one now that's generating more money. The travel business was still kind of stagnant. It was making money, but not as much as it did the first 10 years. Yeah. So we decide, I tell my husband, I'm not feeling this anymore. I'm just completely tired. And I just feel like I'm going through the motions, but at the same time, I don't even feel like this is what I'm called to do.
Wow.
Yeah. You know, I had turned 40, and at 40, there's a sort of maturity that you start questioning, what is this all there is to life? And I was literally going through that, that questioning of what is my life meant to be? But more importantly, there was a lot of that ties to what I do now. I had also gone through a lot of the burnout had not just been about the business. It is that when I came here, I was the classic African woman, the African girl child. You leave everybody back home, you become the breadwinner, the caretaker, the first daughter that takes on everybody's loads.
Yeah.
And you assigned yourself, I call that the Jesus complex, right? The Messiah complex. So I am, it's part of, you know, being codependent, where we are abandoning our own needs, but we are taking care of everybody else. So I'm taking care of my business, my children, my husband, my household, my family back home, my friends. I'm cooking samosas for friends on weekends.
The whole village, but yourself.
Yeah, but my own needs are neglected at this point.
Wow.
So I started really getting burnt out, and really had a pretty bad emotional breakdown. Actually, I had a few of those, because I just felt like I could not catch a break. I didn't know how to say no to people back home. I felt like I have my family here, and then there's an entire family back home I can never be able to say no to. I'm feeling stressed out because I'm educating everyone. I'm feeling like they're not giving me my props. They use me, the same stuff, the stuff that we all go through. And you're becoming tired and resentful and burnt out, and you just want everybody to leave you alone. So I was going through that midlife crisis of sorts. And I told my husband, I think we need to sell this business.
Wow.
Okay. So we ended up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we ended up selling the business, both the travel, and we had grown it enough, and it was profitable, and we had a bunch of clients. So another company, a bigger company, approached us. We sold the business, and because, you know, my husband was like, yeah, we'll figure something else out. It's business. You always, if you are either an entrepreneur or you're not.
Or you're not.
You don't get so hung up on this one business.
Yeah.
Because an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur, right?
Change is good.
Yes, and change is good. And I needed that break. And so we sold the business, and we made enough money for me to just do nothing. But the doing nothing got me really confused, because I was like, what do I do with myself next? Right? So we sold the business, and then he went and he wanted to get into the technology space. So he went and ended up working at one of the major consulting firms, and it's in that here in DC, he was in the federal. It's one of the big five consulting companies, but they had a big federal practice where they do government contracting, right? They get a lot of federal contracts. So it was when the 2 years he took to go work there, learned how to do government contracting, how to write proposals, how to the whole federal government works in terms of working with contractors. So that's the business. So he ended up leaving and started his federal contracting business that way, because it's a big thing here in DC. So he himself finds himself, right? He's figured out what he wants to do next.
Yes.
And he goes and gets into this federal space, starts his business. And for the first time, we were not business partners, right? Because now I'm not a technology person. There's no way I'm gonna, right? But more importantly, I was in a really just in a personally, I was in a very difficult space. I was tired. I was exhausted. Had a lot of Mother from childhood traumas that would come to tend
you
to happen.
needed to deal with.
Yeah. So I needed to deal with myself, and I was took a sabbatical, a good 4 or 5 months. But when you've always been used to constantly being on the run, constantly doing, constantly going, it is really hard to sit still. It is super hard to just be like, okay, now let me go become a lady who lunches, right? It's hard. So I ended up, after that, I was like, I have no idea what I want to do with myself when I grow up. And I don't want to do another business that is just going through the motions. I've already been an entrepreneur for all these years, but I still need to kind of figure out what I'm gonna do. So I ended up getting a job. For the first time, I got a job in corporate America for a company that builds own homes. And I was, they hired me to come and start. Remember, I had been in the call center industry for almost a decade now at that point, or 7 years or so. And they wanted to centralize their customer service operations because they're doing business in multiple states, and every state was doing its own thing. Every business operation was doing its own thing. So they wanted to centralize all of that. So so
everything is the same.
Yeah. So they hired me to literally centralize their customer service operations, help them figure out the system, how to bring all those customers in. And it's something I was doing, not because I particularly loved it, but because I had the know-how. Yeah. And it's also, it bought me time to figure out who do I want to be when I grow up. Right. So I ended up being in corporate America, and I ended up staying longer than I had anticipated. But more importantly, that's just work. Work is just a part of what we do. More importantly, I needed to figure Jacinta out. Because Jacinta had sunk into depression. Jacinta is having a trouble feeling like she's not a good enough mother. I have these 2 kids, they're becoming of age. They're becoming pre-teens, and that comes with its own challenges. And I just, you know, when you don't feel grounded within yourself, you feel like, how can I be anybody's mother when I don't even know how to handle myself, right? To the outside world, I look pretty perfect, good family, blah, 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 whatever we think. But I'm feeling so disjointed from inside. I'm feeling so damn unhappy. And I ended up hiring a coach to help me. And the reason why I ended up hiring a coach to help me is because I would become, a lot of the stuff that was going on inside of me, and much of it started in childhood, right? What's going on in me, it was being projected a lot on my family. So I would be this person who would get very, very triggered, and I'm just like constantly yelling in the house, constantly like upset, constantly, you know, Mama Kelele type woman, right? When we get so overwhelmed and we neglect our own self-care, our own needs, and we don't work on our inside. And I remember one time, my kids, I don't know what I was yelling at. I was yelling at them for something. And my son, who was in middle school, is like, Mom, why are you always triggered?
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you mean I'm triggered? Like, what does that even mean? Then he looks at me and he says, see that? What? That is triggered. And I say, and I go off, and my daughter is like, yeah, you're always yelling, you're never happy, you're just always upset, always screaming at us. And then that same day, so now they've called me out, but I can't take the feedback. So I yell some more, and I tell them, nobody speak to me, I'm triggered, like, don't talk to me. And then when my husband came home from the office, I think one of them, either my daughter might have said, oh, you have to be very careful around Mom. She's she's like a ticking time bomb right now. See, now I hear that.
Oh, you overheard?
I overheard, and I come down the stairs, and I'm like, what did you just say?
You start yelling again.
Yeah, and my husband is like, oh dear God, right? So anyway, I just threw a major meltdown, major tantrum. And I accuse him of taking the kid side over my side. You know how we are when we are triggered, right? When we don't have agency of ourselves. And it got so bad, and we were getting ready to go on a family vacation to Spain and Italy and then Spain. And I just said to him, you know what? I actually don't even think I want to go to this vacation with you guys.
Are you serious?
And I'm not even saying it in a calm way like that. See, now me, I'm screaming and yelling and tantruming the whole 9 yards.
So you already have the attitude.
Yes, attitude. Like now, it's hard to even put out that attitude because that version of myself doesn't exist anymore, and I have a lot of compassion for her, right? But I was like angry and triggered, and I'm making accusations. And you all don't like me. If you don't like me, go enjoy yourselves. You'll be much better off without me. Go ahead and cancel my trip. And my husband looks at me. He's like, I am so tired of you.
Wow.
I am so over you and your bullshit. That's exactly what he said. You know what?
I don't blame him.
You know what?
Did that make you think?
Yes, you got it. And he ended up going and canceling me out of the whole trip.
Wow.
Remember, I asked him, and you know how sometimes you do something and you're like, oh, yeah, Connie, what did I do? But you're too stubborn and too.
Do you think you say that out of maybe you are angry at the moment for whatever reason, and you say, hey, go ahead, cancel my trip, but you really did not mean it? But
no, I didn't. I was just being reactive. I didn't mean it. I was just having a tantrum, right?
But you went ahead and canceled it.
Yeah, because I think this was like one of many moments like that in the episode, right? So he's like, I'm just so sick, and I really don't know if I can go to spend 10 days in Europe with dealing with this. Like, no, you go sort yourself out. So anyways, he proceeds at my request, but I wasn't serious. But he's like, you know what, I'm done. You're out. So he canceled me out.
Wow.
And they went in my class. I always show the picture of them because they kept saying when they left, they're at Dallas airport waiting for their flight. They're on the train in Italy. They're on the gondola in Venice. They're sending me all those pictures. Me, niko nyumbani. I'm in my house.
You're home alone in Virginia, or your family is on vacation?
On vacation in Europe.
Because you're emotionally unstable.
Because I was that emotionally unstable. And those pictures, in fact, I think the main one of them is my screensaver, because at that point, I'm like, Jacinta, you gotta get a hold of yourself.
Yeah.
Because this is how you're gonna lose your family. And being that I was also very reactive, now my brain starts going overtime. Now, Sasa, now if my husband and my kids, they go and they meet their future mom over there, what would I be saying happened? See, now I'm like,
be like, not only are we canceling you from this trip, we are canceling you from the marriage.
Yeah, now we have a new mom, right?
Yeah.
Right?
You're just self-sabotaging over here.
Yes. Wow. So, but I think that was my lowest moment, but also the best moment, because when I was left at home alone, I would go to work, come back to the house. Remember, it's 10 days, and I was working for this company. So I come in the evening. The house is quiet. It's just me. I don't even have the drive to cook anything. I just pass by Safeway. I buy myself a salad, and I just come and sit in the house alone. And I was like, what is going on with me? That's when I was like, you got to get yourself help. So that's, I always say that was my worst moment and my best moment at the same time, because when they were gone and I'm now forced to face myself and my own behavior, I was like, I gotta help myself. So that's when I started Googling, went on YouTube, just tried to Google personal growth. I was putting different keywords, rock bottom, what does it look like? And I end up on YouTube, on this lady's YouTube, and she's a coach, and I listened to her, and she was talking about childhood traumas and how we become so reactive when we have some stuff that we haven't worked through. And I was like, she's speaking to me. And she had a video that she's talking about how women, when they haven't worked through their own issues, they really project it on their partners and their relationships, their children, and all of that. I'm like, why is this girl calling me out? So, and at the end of the day of the video, she had a link to go schedule a call on her on Skype. This was before Zoom.
The days of Skype, yeah.
So I'm like, oh, let me schedule with this one, because it looks like she's talking to me. So I ended up speaking to her. And I was like, I really need her to help me. So I hired her as my coach.
Yeah.
and started working with her before even my family came.
Mm-hmm.
And I worked with her for 3 months.
Wow.
That is where my personal growth started. I got myself off of Facebook because Facebook was very triggering to me because I was comparing myself with everybody.
With other people.
Yeah, because how is all these women have it together, but I don't.
Yeah,
all
but that's what social media does. Sometimes
Yes.
people put what they want you to see. Because I'm sure if you posted a picture of you, us would have been, here's Jacinta, she look all nice, look at the family, but we don't know the battles that you are fighting.
I was in Facebook groups giving people advice. Like, me, I've always been into beauty and fashion. And I was very active in this one group, Facebook group. And I actually made a lot of friends there that are still my friends to this day. Wow. And I was very active in the group. Mm-hmm. But even as I was contributing and I'm sharing this idea, tips on this and this and this, mm-hmm. I was also very much comparing myself with those women. I was feeling like, how come they are successful?
They have a good life.
Have a good life. They know themselves.
But they got it together.
Right. So I think that's like when I was in coaching, I realized that social media was not doing me any good. Yeah. So I ended up actually getting off Facebook for 5 years. It ended up extending to 5 years. Yeah.
Wow. That's a long time.
But I went inward.
Okay.
I went, I started doing what now we call inner work. That's what we call it in the coaching. You're going inward to figure yourself out. You're going inward to face your own inner madogodhanyo, which is your inner chaos, right? You're going inward to understand the things that you're carrying from childhood that are no longer yours to carry. You're going inward to learn who you are as a woman, right? And nurturing a healthy relationship with yourself and your self-worth, right? So that time I was off socials, I was actually doing that work on me.
Working on yourself.
Working on myself. And I never told my children or my husband that I was doing this coaching. But they could start seeing
the change.
I'm showing up so differently. I'm so much calmer. I know how to manage my own emotions. I know how to regulate myself. And I'm not reactive anymore. I'm actually much calmer version of myself. And they were the first ones to notice. They're like, Ala, what has happened to this one? She's like so calm and nice and friendly and smiling and all that. And so that's how I rebuilt those relationships. I didn't tell anybody, go do this, go change yourself, like tell my husband, I'm doing this, you go work on yourself.
Yeah. You did your own work.
I did me. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What an amazing story.
Thank you.
Amazing. So now you're done with that and you have your own coaching program. So how did that start? Is that because of that experience, what you had to go through?
Yes. So during that time, I was doing the deconstruction of Jacinta, right? That's what the work is. You're learning about yourself and learning and all that. Yeah. I was very burnt out by my family of origin. So I kind of stopped talking to everyone within the family and I just focused on me. Yeah. And I had blamed everybody. You guys use me. I've been paying school fees for you guys studying this business and that, and you never do
and
anything.
You're not grateful.
You're not grateful. I'm like, I learned, I didn't have boundaries for them, right? I was the one who is enabling. I'm the common denominator.
You're an enabler.
Yes.
Which most of us been there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just was like, I am done running in circles. Yeah. And the only way to stop running in circles is remove myself from everything and everyone. Yes. Let me fast forward. I was tired of running in circles. I needed to figure me out. So by the time I emerged, I was a different version of myself. I went 2017, I went to, we had a family wedding in Kenya. And that's the first time I saw like my siblings, my family, and I was so different. I wasn't really blaming them. We just picked up where we had left. And it felt so good to now show up as a healthier version of myself. I have those boundaries. I'm taking accountability. I have set boundaries for everyone. And so I was like, oh, so I was the one who was creating my own chaos. So in that, I had an epiphany by around 2018. I was like, surely I can't be the only woman in this world that is has dealt with this. I'm pretty sure there's many like me. Yeah. How can I use the lessons I've learned to impact another woman who probably grew up the way I did, is living this life of external validation and doesn't know herself. So I was like, God, please guide me on what I'm supposed to do with this, because I think I have a message. So by 2020, when COVID happened, end of 2019, I got back on Facebook and I started typing personal growth posts.
Okay.
So 2020, by the time COVID happened, I was that loud, that voice was louder for me.
Okay.
Start coaching. So I went and got I got my coaching certification. And by the fall of that 2020, I had a coaching business.
Wow.
Yeah.
By fall.
Yes. So I started posting in beginning, right before COVID. I continued just posting content. And then June of 2020, I started Jane Mukami's OBA program and Gina Dero's Design Your Life program, both of them together. By the fall, that October, I launched my first group coaching class.
That's awesome. That's amazing. I see that you do a lot of classes. I don't know how many cohorts you do in a year, and I know you also have some free classes. So talk to us about your coaching program. What exactly is it? Do you work with people from all over the world? Talk to us, take a few minutes and talk to us about the details of that program. What is that like?
Yeah, so I decided I had to figure out what area of coaching do I want to get into. And I figured if I was talking to myself, if I was myself of 2016, what was she looking for and what was she struggling with, right? So I decided I am going to coach in the area of self-love, how to come back to our divine feminine, because we are living so much in the masculinized world of living in our heads, to-do lists that are endless, like running, going. And I had learned something or two about feminine energy, which is more coming home to the self, leaning back, nurturing yourself, having those healthy boundaries, receiving from other people, all of that. Stop the madness of running around and just chill, right? So I figured if I do the self-love, and self-love is not really about manicures and pedicures and massages. That's self-care. Self-love is learning codependency, where you put your own needs on the back burner and you're so engaged and active in running other people's lives that you neglect, you self-abandon.
Everybody else.
Yes, you self-abandon.
Yes.
So a lot of us, and the growth child is socialized to self-abandon and take care of everybody else. That is a big thing for women in general. So if I can coach women in this area, you can take care of other people, you can take care of the loved ones, while also taking care of your needs, and also lean back to let other people take care of you, to let your husband rise into that masculine role for you, right? So that is actually what ended up becoming what I was being called to teach on. And I'm happy and truly blessed that for the last almost 4 years, I've literally had hundreds of women come through my program, right? So the first part of it is we are coming back to the self. We are nurturing a healthy relationship with us. We are understanding who we are. Who did God create you to be not as a woman? Who are you? Not the roles you play. Mother, wife, businesswoman, those are roles, those are secondary identities. If I ask you, Liz, who are you?
Your true identity.
What would you tell me you are? And don't tell me I'm a mother, I'm a businesswoman, I'm a community leader, I'm all those, right? We're so disconnected from that essence, right?
We grow up defining ourselves by our roles. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, and I work at this place. That's what almost everybody tells you who they are.
Yes. Now, once you figure out who you are as a woman, can you love on that person? Can you pour all your love? Because self-love is love that is directed inward. Can you pour that love to you? Can you pour that before you pour it onto your children? Right? Can pour that to you? Can you say, I'm worthy of being loved the right way? I'm worthy of being loved right. I am worthy of being treated right. I am worthy of saying yes, let me walk away from a toxic relationship, an
Yes.
abusive relationship, because that is not my divine calling, or that's not what God ordained for me, right?
Yes. Yes.
Once you work on that and you're starting to build that self-worth, you also have learned how to set healthy boundaries for yourself. You learn how to give to you, and also model to other people how to give to you. And then you learn how to lean into your feminine energy so you can have that balance. Because when we are leaning into our masculine energy too much, which is our doing energy, eventually we fall out of balance. Wow. And also we end up attracting, here's the relationship part of it where it comes in, is when you're leaning too heavily on your masculine, you're going to either turn off the healthy masculine men because they're looking for femininity, your feminine energy. And then you're going to latch on to the men, the boys who are looking for somebody to mother them.
Wow.
And that's a big part of it. Right? So when you're leaning into your masculinity, you're doing energy, you're going to attract men who are in their passive energy. They are looking for a woman to be their caretaker, their mother, the person who carries the heavy load, the person who pays most of the bills, the person who also cooks, also caretakes, also because you're also abandoning yourself. And then now you end up in these relationships where you feel like you've inherited yourself a surrogate son.
What?
Right? So learning how to lean into your feminine energy is stopping all of that. And letting the man in your life be the man in your life. Stop controlling him. Stop doing running amok, right? Stop over-functioning. And I know this is how we are taught, we are raised, and especially for us Kikuyu girls, anticipate what James wants. When he comes home, it's all about him. What does he need? Can you polish his shoes? The dinner ready, right? Yeah. But that also depolarizes masculine energy in men, right? So how can you bring back polarity into the relationship? Polarity is where masculine, feminine attract. That's polar energies, right? The only way for your husband, your man, to really step into that masculine role is if you leaned back into your feminine energy.
Wow.
Right? And it's also something that men are so craving from us. Right? And also in that, when you're in your feminine energy, because also there's a part being in your feminine energy, it is, I don't overwork in a relationship. I don't overfunction. I don't go into a relationship where I'm feeling like your surrogate mom. I need that interdependence. I need to be taken care of. I need that protector, provider. And when we talk about providership, we're not talking just money. Most of us can pay our own bills, but providership is not just financial. It is providing that containership, that structure for my family to thrive. It is you stepping into that so I can step into that space where I'm feeling safe, seen, heard, and I can lean back so I can rest. And I can also become the highest version of myself without having to overfunction. Yeah.
Got you. That is amazing. And you've been doing that for the last 4 years.
Yes. And I have seen a lot of women change their marriages. I have seen women walk away. If you scroll back on my timeline right now, I just did 2 testimonials on the 2 women, one 22 years in a marriage, and she overfunctioned. She performed, she auditioned, she didn't want to be left. She learned how to take care of her own needs, and the marriage has tremendously shifted. She did everything. Wow. When I taught how to take a chill pill, and I think on the testimonial, she talked about her 22nd wedding anniversary, how her husband, for the first time, surprised her. He planned everything and executed.
Wow.
And she just sat there and received and said, thank you.
She just had to show up.
Yes.
Wow.
I just had to show up.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Are this done? Is your coaching done as group coaching or individual?
Group coaching.
Okay.
Yes. So like I have a class starting this Wednesday, the 17th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Most of my classes are weekend, but for my diaspora audience, a lot of people are working during the week. I just decided to do a class that is in the evening, but I've been shocked that I have enrollments by women in Kenya, and it's 3:30 in the morning there. They'll be waking up to attend the class.
Why in need of this?
It's because for the first time we are seeing ourselves. And for the first time, my work is not anti-men, it's very pro-men.
No, it's not. I totally heard what you said.
Yeah, it's pro-healthy relationship, pro-healthy families, right? And the only way we can truly be able to make the best of our relationships, it is if we actually look at ourselves, so we can see how we contribute to some of the dysfunction in our own relationships. Because the rest of the people, our partners, they respond to our energy. Our partners respond to our emotional state. So if I master my own emotions, if I know how to self-regulate, if I know how to communicate my needs in healthy ways, as opposed to going to attack, to lecture, to blame, you don't make me happy. It's my job to be happy. So if I deal with all of that and I go to my husband and I need him to do something, the tone that I'm gonna even use, the way I'm gonna communicate, this is not working for me, or when you do this, it makes me feel this way, and this is what I would like you to change. Almost always you'll be like, okay, right? But when we don't know how to regulate ourselves and we don't know how to have the right language to express our needs, and we go to it as blame, attack, you're failing me in this way, then the defenses come out. His defenses also come out. So you end up in these conflicted conversations.
So what I'm hearing you say is we have to do our own work first.
Yes.
And happiness is within, not, don't look for it without. You have to first have it within you.
You have to have first within you. And the way God created us is God gave us so much, gave the woman a lot of power. We have a lot of power in our relationships. Only we don't realize it. And you, as the woman, get to decide the emotional tone of your relationship. The man just follows. Yeah. If you look at the men who are in very healthy unions with their wives and they've been married long term, and I'm asking you, like, if you know those, some of those kind of couples, watch their dynamics. Yes. I do. And you will see most of the time the husband will be like, let me see what my wife thinks. Right? Like what my wife wants, we do. Yeah. Because and it's not that she's doing it from a place of control. It is because she's risen to her power and I call it the power of influence. So a woman who is in her divine feminine and has really knows how to love on herself, she's always going to be an influential woman in her relationship. She's going to have a lot of influence. Yeah.
That is awesome. 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 Oh my gosh, we can be here all day. I can listen to this the entire day. But Jacinta, I'm very sure a lot of people are going to want to reach out to you. How can they connect with you? You do your coaching virtual, so you can take people from literally anywhere in the world. How do they get in touch with you if they have a question or if they want to attend one of your free classes? How can they connect with you?
So I do quite a number of free classes, and I always announce them through email. But I announce them first on my social media pages. I use mostly Facebook. I go by Sublime Flow Jacinta. Okay. And I post a lot of content there, and I always announce when I'm teaching a class and what class is going to be, the free ones, right? So I've taught on masculine archetypes. How do you know the healthy men? How do they show up? Because the thing about it is, within 2 or 3 dates, you actually need to be picking up on certain things to know certain things. How do you, that's the masculine archetypes. What is feminine energy, and how do you start getting into this really juicy, powerful side of yourself? What is self-love? What is codependency? How can you stop being so focused on everybody else, but also give to yourself? So I teach those kind of classes and I announce them on my Facebook. My website is sublimeflow.com. Okay. And I teach group classes. And I always have people from all over the world in the class. And then I also have a class for single ladies that I started last November. And this is for women who they are successful in their career, they have maybe divorced or single or whatever, and they want to now enter into the dating scene and they want to attract healthy masculine men.
Awesome.
And so that is specifically, we do the inner work part of it, how to get yourself in that healthy space, because you are going to attract what you are, not what you want.
Okay. Awesome.
Right?
Awesome. We are going to pin Jacinta's information, her Facebook page, whatever the details at the bottom of this video, so that you guys know how to connect with her, follow her on social media. Make sure you are on her email, or you provide your email, so that if she has a class and she make an announcement, make plans to attend, at least attend the free one, so you get to see her in action.
Yes, I actually have a class starting on April 17th. That is a 3-month class.
Okay, that's your next group. Okay.
Yeah, group class. But I will announce my the next one soon. The single one. This is for the ladies who perhaps they've dealt with toxic relationships in the past, or the relationships didn't go well in the past, but they also now want to get back into it and attract the right kind of partners.
Yes.
And I've had quite a number of ladies who came to the program, have had a number of marriages.
Okay.
For that stuff. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to have your information here. Thank you so very much, Jacinta. I appreciate you coming to the show today, sharing all the information you've shared with our viewers. I cannot wait to have you back on the show. Please, guys, follow her on Facebook, and make sure to make plans to be in one of her classes. Jacinta, thank you so much again. Do you have anything else you'd like to share in the next 30 seconds before we close down?
Just saying thank you so much, Liz. It's been so nice getting to know you. Thank you for having me on the platform. And for the ladies who are watching, whatever hardships you might be facing, and especially relational hardships, please know there's always a way out, and there's always a way to change things around. And it all literally starts with you taking ownership, accountability, and saying yes to yourself.
I love it. Thank you so very much. And you have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you.